Today's episode is brought to you by AOS Kitchens, the South's leading outdoor kitchen design and installation specialists. Welcome to another episode of the Meet and Greet Barbecue podcast. It's been a few months that we've since we've last recorded, so really excited to welcome you back to another episode. Today it's myself and Dan. We've not seen each other in a few months either, so really excited just to have a catch up, talk about all things barbecue. We also have a new feature on our episode descriptions. You'll see right at the top, there's a link that says that we'd love to hear from you. You can click on that and you can text us directly to then tell us, what you think about the show, or give us some ideas of who we should speak to next, or recipes that we should be cooking. Anyway, we'd love to hear from you. But let's get into today's episode. Dan, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks. Very good indeed. It's exciting not only to be doing this episode, but launching a new series. It's been a while, and I'll put my hand up and say I'm a big reason for that. I've spoken about it a lot, but it's taken ages, but finally moved into a new place. And I'm sure you've seen, if you follow us on Instagram, been doing cooks and things. It's great to be in, but now we're settled and I have a new space that we can record. That's what we're doing for you. So we've got a whole new series coming through to you over the next few months for you to enjoy. All that's going to happen between now and when you listen to this is Owen and I to record them with all of the guests and edit them and then put them on, upload them and time everything out. So you guys don't have to do anything. A week later after this episode, you'll get another episode drop. But Owen and I are kind of just understanding what we've just agreed that we're going to get back into right now. And thankfully, we're both excited about it, right?
Yes, absolutely. But it's amazing how you get out of the swing of things.
Oh, yeah, I know. We've just logged on to this and we've taken 20 minutes just to get back used to how we want to be set up, getting Zoom, the platform we used, up and running, discussing what we want to get out of this, but also having a bit of a natter and a catch up, which is what we wanted to share with you all today, is basically what we've been doing for the last few months, what we've been barbecuing, what we've been wanting to do with barbecuing, and kind of what our plans are really over the next few months, and whether you'll even be able to see us in person, depending on where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing, right?
So I want to open up with a fail, not a barbecue fail, but a podcast fail.
Was it a life fail? That got hard very quickly.
Obviously, the whole purpose is we do a podcast, and we've had this in the diary for a few weeks now. And it wasn't until 20 minutes before we're due to meet that I realised that my headphones don't have any charge. So hopefully I can hear you all right. It's always better in the ear when you're recording rather than kind of out loud through the thing. And it took me a good 10 minutes or so to find my microphone. You've moved house. I haven't yet. I guarantee it took me longer to set up than you did, because clearly I've not been prepared.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about this moment for a long time. So I had everything ready, just getting the children to bed, pouring myself a drink, and then making sure that I was ready to do this. But podcast fails a funny thing. This is the second time that we've planned to try and do this. But and you might be able to tell from my voice, I want to apologize for it. I've got tonsillitis. Way. But, would I let that get in the way of a recording? Once, yes, but twice, no. But I have really enjoyed...
People might now be able to recognise your voice as Daniel rather than Danielle.
I know, which is a surprise. I get it all the time.
Times that people think it's Danielle they're hearing. But...
through work, Owen and I used to work together. People would randomly call up asking to speak to me and insist it was Danielle or Anne instead of Dan, and have arguments with people before they were put through to me. If I'm ordering Domino's, it'll arrive and it'll have Danielle written on the front of it. So yeah, it's an affliction that I have to live with every single day of my life, which people underestimate how frustrating that can be. It's funny, but yeah, it's a pain. But I've just been so excited to be able to reset up a barbecue setup, because it's one thing once you've got everything in your house ready and rip roaring and you're cooking on it, but you forget the fun of going, actually, I could have this here, I could have this there. Would it be better if I set up this way? what about serving it to people? Do I want a bit of is the word drama when people are over and they can watch what you're doing? If you are reverse searing something like a tomahawk or something, and then you've taken it out and resting it and you're cranking it up and people can watch you do it over the flames and stuff rather than being hidden away around the corner. It's been fun kind of setting that up and thinking what I plan to do over the next 4, 5, 6 months. If anyone's been looking on Instagram, and I've put some photos of the setup. The one thing I haven't quite got right, I don't think, is my rock box is set up right in front of almost like a trellis that's covered in grapevines. So when I want to use it, because I use the wood burning attachment, I'll need to twist it. Otherwise, I'm just going to set fire to a load of greenery and things. So when I first do a pizza here, it's been a month and I haven't got around to it yet because I know I'm going to catch fire and set fire to something. When I do, getting that right will be okay. But if I set it up the other way around, I'm just staring at grapevines when I'm doing normal barbecuing. I don't want that.
Pizzas, just to jump in, Dan.
Mm.
Obviously, there's the kind of, I seem to be seeing it a lot on TikTok and socials around, the old pizza sandwich.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So again, people have probably seen that I did one fairly recently on the Oni, one lunchtime, just sort of working, and thought I'd fancy a bit of a pizza sandwich. So typically, I think you put pesto, a bit of Parma ham, rocket, mozzarella. I had a bit of balsamic dressing, etc., and kind of cut it up and eat it like a sandwich rather than an actual pizza. I had some hummus, so I used hummus instead of pesto. But genuinely, probably the best sandwich I have ever had.
Wow. I mean, that is a strong statement because I'd argue a burger is a type of sandwich.
Honestly, this trumped it. It was just so nice, and I mean, to the point where I was I was sat on my own in my own house, no one else around, and I was going, mm,
That is creepy.
mm.
That is
Oh, this is so
serial
good.
killer-esque.
Yeah, exactly. I was making some strange noises. Like as soon as my wife got home, I was like, "Oh my God, you wouldn't believe the best." Like I find me mum, I've had the best sandwich.
I hope it's only sandwiches that you've been moaning that you do that and call your mum afterwards because that would be very awkward otherwise.
It would. Yeah, not that close.
Talk me through why it was so much better then. What was it about it? Was it texture? Was it the flavors came through differently? What was it?
Yeah, so it was a homemade pizza base, and I don't know. I think right because it's probably because you just get bored of having a ham sandwich, or do you know what I mean? Just normal bread.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was quite nice to just have something that had the flavour of a wood-fired pizza, but well, I suppose Parma ham's not exactly fat free in comparison to pepperoni or whatever. But it was just a nice difference.
Do you
And you kind
think?
of drizzle oil. You drizzle. So I drizzled some rapeseed oil because I don't typically use olive oil. I prefer British rapeseed oil. Um, so you kind of drizzled that over the base first, and I think obviously then when you close it up a bit like a calzone and put it under, the kind of oil also gives the kind of base a nice flavor internally. So when you open it back up again, it's kind of steaming, but it's really kind of moist and tasty inside because of the oil. And then obviously you're putting in the pestos or the hummus or whatever, and you're filling. So yeah, genuinely, I have been proper excited about it. I even came home to this evening, obviously, and I said to my wife, "Oh, we're both at home tomorrow. Do you know what we should have for lunch?"
Well,
So
that's what I was going to ask. Do you think you'll be doing those more than pizzas in there from now on? Is it that
no,
good?
no, like anything, right? Too much of a good thing. Um, I will have it regularly enough that I still really enjoy it, but not too regularly that it becomes boring like a normal sandwich does. So,
Mm.
um, yeah. Anyway, sorry. As soon as you said
Mm.
pizza oven, I was like, "Bing."
No,
Um,
I mean, before the kind of 2 weeks before I moved, I got really back into pizzas again. I did probably 6 to 8 pizza nights in the two and a half weeks before we moved. Almost every other day I was doing it, where I enjoyed the pizza so much. Once I cleaned up, I made another dough, and then it was leaving it in the fridge for 24 hours to get all kind of the proper air and stuff in there. Properly got it down, so it was a lot quicker. It's just the case that I love using the wood attachment, but it's so much more effort to manage because of the way that it works with the rock box compared to something like a Della Vita where you can get the full logs, get them in the back there and get the heat up. The fact that you need to have the bits cut down a bit, or I actually have slightly changed the way mine works, which I don't know, might be dangerous. So I'm saying not to necessarily do this. But what I've done is if you open the wood-fired attachment, there's like a little tray that goes in that you're meant to put in like the little kindling. I've taken that out and basically discarded it. And then it takes effort, but I've angled the wood up into the oven and almost start a proper fire that way. And then I can angle it to get large chunks in that burn hotter and longer and faster. That I just find it speeds up how long it takes for the thing to be heated, and I don't have to be around there as much constantly putting in the kindling. I don't have to use as much wood doing it either, but I find that much more enjoyable than just sticking the gas attachment on, turn it up to high, leaving it for half an hour, putting it to low, and then starting to cook. I just feel not there's no skill in that because you still have all the skill of the manipulation of the dough and turning it as it's going, but it's just less fun and it does less for me from a mindfulness perspective, which is part of the reason we barbecue, right?
Yeah. Yeah, obviously I don't have a gas oven. Obviously I'm picking up talking about Della Vita. I am picking up a Della Vita. Obviously, by the time this comes out, obviously I'd have picked it, I'd have got it, and I'll be using it. But obviously, me and you are going and away for the weekend and picking it up and doing some cooking and video recording, which is also really exciting. But you're right. The wood, it's just the smells and theatrics, as we've gone over many times. That's really enjoyable. I tell you what, I've been doing a lot more basic barbecuing recently.
I love the way you said that, like basic bitch barbecuing. There's nothing wrong with that.
And actually enjoying it. I think sometimes you can't be asked to do a brisket or a pork shoulder or whatever, but you still want to just barbecue, and especially during the week, I think. But yeah, I don't know. I've done a few kind of really simple things, just some chicken kebabs or even just some sausages, or obviously a burger is basic. I say burger's basic, but you can proper pimp up burgers and stuff, and but even just like getting some like pork belly strips or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Just doing some. I don't want to inverted commas, kind of classic British barbecue, but obviously we both have, right? Because we both put some like hot dogs up on Instagram, and we didn't even. I think we almost did it within a day of each other, not realizing that we were doing it, and we both were like, we've got some hot dog content. Oh, me too. Yeah. Oh, well, let's space it out. But we'd obviously done some. But I don't know. I've just taken some real pleasure in doing some of the basics again.
I think that, and we touched upon it on one of the episodes that we did at the start of the year, that Instagram burnout, where we felt like we'd got to the point that we were just doing cooks to put them online. And I think that mentally that meant we felt like we have to do this type of big cook, we have to do that type of big cook, etc., etc. And that takes away a bit of the joy from it. So just going out there and doing, again, you used the term, so I'll leave it on you, the basic barbecuing stuff. It's enjoyable because it's fun. You can get out there, you can do it. You still achieve so much good flavor and enjoyability, and everything about it is so much fun. And I think that there's a lot to be said about doing those sorts of bits and not feeling like you constantly have to be doing beef short ribs, pulled pork, other bits and pieces, feather blade, for example. I mean, they're all fun in different ways. And I think there's also potentially arguments that once you are confident doing it, they don't have to be much effort at all, depending on your setup. It's just keeping an eye on things. And technically, if you're going to be doing hot dogs and burgers and things for 45 minutes, you could argue that might actually be more effort, but it's a very different feel to it. And there's less mental strain in putting it together. And it gives you more instant gratification as well. And let's be honest, the year's 2024, we are all dickheads for loving instant gratification, whether it be jumping on your phone and scrolling through Instagram up and up and up and up and seeing things all the time and giving you that little bit of a kind of mental hit and releasing the endorphins and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with embracing that side of it. And I think we should all do it a bit more. It puts the joy back in barbecue than thinking, well, that's 8 hours of my day gone.
Yeah. However, but about 6 weeks ago, I did cook my first brisket. It must be the first brisket of the year.
Mm-hmm.
As we kind of talked about earlier in the year, I just kind of stopped, had a bit of burnout, blah 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 blah. And so it was about a 6.5 kilo brisket from my local butcher, beef bred here in Essex, grass fed, blah, blah, blah. And I did have the best day.
Mm-hmm.
Again, talking about, obviously just doing all the basics, inverted commas, stuff recently, because I hadn't done it for such a long time, a brisket, and I haven't done it obviously 6 weeks or so, and I've got no plans to do it again for a little while, but it was good fun, absolutely good fun. And I didn't do any, even though it was a fairly sizable piece, didn't do it for any occasion. It was just for the wife and kids, and we just had what we had for that particular night, and then I've sliced it all up and vac packed it, and it's all in the freezer and stuff, ready to kind of take out as and when. But consider, I was slightly worried that because I hadn't done one for, I don't know, 6-7 months previous, you don't want to mess it up.
Mm-hmm.
But it came out pretty well. If you've been looking or thinking about an outdoor kitchen, then look no further than AOS Outdoor Kitchens.
They are the South's leading outdoor kitchen design and installation specialists.
Their extensive showroom is based just outside Bournemouth on the Dorset-Hampshire border, and as well as numerous in-store displays, also features a live outdoor kitchen where they cook every week on Kamado grills, pizza ovens, and all filmed and shown on YouTube.
They offer a wealth of knowledge on how to transform your patio into the most incredible outdoor dining area with styles and options to suit every budget, and you can guarantee they will be able to create something perfectly suited to you and your home.
They stock and supply everything that you're going to need for outdoor cooking, including barbecues, Kamado ovens, pizza ovens, outdoor fridges, and every accessory that you would need to become the ultimate outdoor chef.
So if you want to make yourself the envy of your friends and neighbours, get in touch with them today to arrange a consultation and take the first step in transforming your back garden into the most incredible entertainment space.
Visit aoskitchens.co.uk.
So since I've moved and I've got the setup, I've been doing more of the serious side of barbecue, I suppose. Although, can you say reverse searing a tomahawk is more away from the basic side? I don't know.
Well, I mean, tomahawks are sizable steaks in comparison to a fillet or.
Well, I set myself a challenge, which I
Did
mean,
I just say fillet?
You did.
Apologies for that.
That's awkward for all of us.
Filet of fish.
Yeah. I set myself a challenge that in a lunch break, I wanted to reverse sear a tomahawk from start, as in not pre-lit or anything. So as soon as I hit that hour mark, like the starting blocks, out I went, got it lit, got the meat out, kind of seasoned it and stuff, and let it sit there for 15-20 minutes while it was heating up. Then over oak, brought up into the temp that I wanted. I brought up to 49, I think. And then let it rest while I cranked up the heat properly, and then seared on the both sides, gave it a decent rest, started eating it, and forgot how big a piece of meat it is. So I got to the point where I had probably 4 or 5 slices left, and I was like, meeting's about to start. Started the meeting and thought it was going to be like a 5-10 minute work meeting. I could just get through it in the end. Took an hour, and just out of camera shot in my eye line was the steak. And I got, I need you. I need to finish you, which is so good. But again, it shows that you can do serious cooks in that amount of time if you know what you're doing without too much prep. Which is nice to know that skills are still there as well, because I'd done so I've done quite a lot of pizza making, but I pretty much packed the barbecue up in January, and we didn't move until June. And I got it out once or twice for the odd bits and pieces, but I kept thinking I don't want to faff with getting it back out because it's packed and ready to be moved, and the house move just got delayed. So, like you said, you start thinking, is it still in there? Do I still need more time to get back into it? But thankfully, it's a bit like riding a bike, I think. Once it's in there, you can jump back into it.
Yeah, so I see you've I see that you've been doing a bit of low and slow
Mhm.
since you've kind of got into your new place, and through your own personal Welshman barbecues, doing a bit of a collab, aren't you, with Suffolk Food Hall here in Suffolk?
Yeah, so they reached out to me. So that tomahawk steak, we actually got from there, and just did it and put the post up saying that's where I got the meat from. And they just reached out to me and said, "Look, I like the content you're doing. We don't really have anyone doing barbecue content at the moment. Do you want to do some stuff?" And I said, "Well, if you supply me with the meat, I'll do some cooks, and we'll just see how it goes there." And I want to do more with you through the podcast, but we're still early days. But so far, I've did pulled pork for the Euros. That was nice, and I got lucky with that pork shoulder. To be fair, because I thought it was going to take 7 to 8 hours, and it took more like 9.5. Put on in the morning. Did it over 105 over oak. And it was like 1.2 kilos, so not a big pork shoulder at all. And got to like 5 hours, and it was doing okay, and then it just stalled, like heavily stalled, like temperature coming down. Wrapped it, and I was getting a train to a friend's. I was like, well, I'm going to have to pull it now regardless. And it literally just hit 96 at that point, which is where I wanted to take it. And I was like, right, I've got 5 minutes to wrap this, stick it in a Pyrex, and stick it on my back so I can get the train and travel for about an hour to get there just before the game. And I was thinking, I got part of you might say, well, experience. I allowed myself that extra hour and a half, but I got so lucky that the wrap works. Because if I hadn't bothered wrapping it, because I was considering not wrapping it at one point, no way would have got there. But so I did that. I've got a pork belly, which I'm going to do brisket style, which should be nice. But I come down with this illness, so I was like, I'll wait until I'm fit again before I do that. And what's wrong with me? I can't remember what the first thing that I did was, but I brought beef ribs. I did beef short ribs from there as well, which went really well. I think they were surprised how quick I did it, because I literally picked them up, got home, prepped it there and then, and put up a reel about the prep, and then did a second one. That's the other thing I wanted to mention. So what I've started doing is 2 separate reels for the cooks I'm doing. I've been thinking about doing it for a while, but since I've been asked to do a collaboration, I thought I'd trial it as part of this, doing a prep video reel first, and then doing the actual reel of the cook as 2 separate things, which I just think it might be more educational for people. And I think it's maybe something we should do more as well through the podcast when we're doing content, because the questions that come through are really nice, but people being able to see how you're prepping it step by step and separately being able to find that, I've definitely found it useful when I'm doing my own research of things I want to do as well.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. Problem is, though, it means that people can see what we don't actually know what we're talking about. Imposters. We're all imposters. It's imposter syndrome.
All of us are imposters, let's be fair.
Yeah, I So weekend just gone.
Mhm.
We had a works event on the Friday,
Show off.
and um, in the evening it was summer summer food, like some sort of barbecue style food,
Hmm.
and yeah, I went pretty hungry to be fair. So uh, they'd cooked it all. The problem is, I think it was like barbecue style food, but I think they cooked it indoors, or they certainly didn't cook it in the outdoor area where we were anyway. And I just got unlucky in that the first thing was lamb koftas.
Hmm.
Don't like lamb. Second thing was chicken wings, but they were like the like really small, like really small. Hardly, it was like a tiny little bit of meat.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had a couple of those. Then it was like calamari. Don't like that. And then it was like there was another sort of fish based um, thing, and then vegetable quesadillas, and then a cucumber and watermelon salad. So, and of course, there was alcohol involved, etc. So I ended up literally having a vegetable quesadilla, two chicken wings, and a bowl of watermelon and cucumber. So, needless to say, the alcohol went straight to my head, um, and didn't necessarily get to eat a lot of barbecue food. But subsequently, I went to the next day. I got
Hmm.
invited to a barbecue. It's been a while since I've gone somewhere else for a barbecue, and um, it was for someone's birthday. There's about 50 people. I'm feeling quite hungover, but I'm a soldier. Go straight in to drink a beer, hair of the dog and all that.
So
50.
brave. So
I know,
brave.
so brave. I know, I am. Yeah. Some say hero. I don't like that label, but with literally within 15, 20 minutes of being there, I was cooking for 50 people. It was like, oh, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming. I've just lit the barbecue. Can you do some sausages? Can you do some chicken kebabs? Can you do some? I was like, oh my God. So I literally ended up spending. I was there for about 4 hours in the end, and I spent two and a half, if not a little bit more, cooking for other people and allowing myself to, at the end, with the leftovers,
Mm.
eat some barbecue food.
So often the way, isn't it, that in barbecuing, there's that misnomer I always think that the barbecuer gets the best cuts or the best bits, but what actually happens is everyone else is eating while you're tending and looking at what the next thing is and what the next thing is, you know?
Well, I'm more interested in the fact that how often, I don't know if it's happened to you, or how often, and we'd love people to text in on the link in the description. Do you get invited as a guest
Hmm.
to other people's barbecues, but they kind of expect you to do it because you're the quote barbecue guy or girl or person? Um, it's happened a couple of times now. In fact,
Hmm.
more a handful of times. And just interested does it happen to other people? It'd be nice to go somewhere and just eat and be a guest every
I've
now
had a
and again.
few people message me and say, "Oh, look, it's been a little while, partially because of this move. Would love you to come over and cook for us." I'm like, "All right."
Yeah.
I'd love a day off, but yeah, fine. Whatever.
Yeah. How
So
much are you paying?
yeah, exactly. What meat have you actually got? Because if you've just got like basics range, I don't know if I want to be messing about with it. Although
Yeah.
I'd prefer to be invited over than not at all, frankly.
Oh yeah, we're different people.
uh, is there any what are your eyes on next for things you want to do this season or cooks you want to do?
Uh, well, I it's not what I want to do next. It's what I've just done, which I'm wanting to replicate and make better.
Hmm.
As you know, I dabble with bacon, etc. Hadn't done any kind of bacon, homemade bacon for a while. So again, a couple of months ago, I decided to get a whole loin from the butchers, and basically made some maple bacon. First time I've done maple bacon. I've done kind of a sweet cure and things before, but I used some. When I say it was like maple style syrup, because when you actually read it, the UK versions are not blah blah blah. Anyway, it turned out pretty well. I decided not to smoke it.
Hmm.
So originally I planned, so I cured it for a week. Then I took it out and left it hanging in the fridge for a couple of days just to dry out. So, and my plan was to actually cold smoke it and probably use something like a cherry just to kind of add a kind of, if you're doing sweet bacon, cherries, kind of seems the obvious choice, right? You don't want anything too powerful. So I decided not to, anyways, and just went with an unsmoked cured bacon. Very nice. However, I've managed to one of my colleagues is Canadian, so he'd just gone back over to Toronto. So I've managed to get him to pick me up a proper, authentic Canadian maple syrup. So I've got a big can of that now. So I'm going to plan to redo and improve the bacon, but this time I'm going to cold smoke it as well.
Nice.
So it's kind of a sweet smoked
Nice.
bacon. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do in terms of um, cooking. I'm probably I'm getting a new Delavita,
Hmm.
so I think naturally some pizzas will come out of that. So, however, I'm going to be trying to do a few things in a wood-fired oven that is not a pizza,
Hmm.
basically. So I'm probably going to just want to, to do some more. I don't know, even if it's using a cast iron dish or something like that, and doing things like steaks or burgers or breakfasts or whatever, just kind of using the wood-fired oven in a different way. Um, uh, I kind of haven't really got many other plans for cooks. What about yourself?
I want to be doing a lot of barbecuing. The weather's annoying me at the moment. I've got this lovely garden to be out in, so much more space. And how much rain have we had? Too much, frankly. We're in July and I almost put the heating on the other day because it was 15 degrees Celsius in the house. And you're thinking, what is going on? It's ridiculous. Hopefully, we get an Indian summer and maybe towards September and October time, the heat will finally kick in and we can be out there more. But my dad got me a cold smoker cold smoker, that's a lie, like the little sawdust kind of
Yeah, the
smoking.
smoke generator.
Yeah, which I want to do cold smoking in the monolith using that. So I want to experiment with that. I haven't done anything with it before we moved because everything was pretty much packed up, right? So that's been sitting there boring a hole in the back of my head, knowing that that's there to be used.
You moved.
No, I haven't mentioned it, have I? And then I also I want to do a big brisket because I haven't done one for a while. I want to do a bone-in Boston butt. I want to do some beef fillet because I've never done that on the barbecue before. There's lots of stuff I want to have a go at and do differently. I'd like to do more baking. I've said this before on there and do like loaves and stuff like that, and maybe steal some ideas from Miss Stoneman or Mrs. Stoneman, I should say, and some of the fantastic stuff she does, and kind of get my head around that more, and just be out there as much as possible, soaking it up and enjoying it. And I want to do some proper birria tacos, like from scratch, like make the corn tortillas, make the actual proper, like, smoke off and fry off the chilies and make the proper sauce and everything and dip them in and do that properly from scratch, and maybe do it with maybe even a Thor's hammer, get the meat off that and use that in there. That sort of stuff I want to be doing more of and enjoying getting involved with, and getting Charlotte into it as well, because she's always interested when I'm barbecuing, and she likes watching, and she likes watching the pizza stuff, and she likes rolling out the doughs. But getting her involved as much as possible is definitely something I want to do this year. And I want to go and enjoy Sizzle Fest again. We've got our tickets, so people will see us there. What we're going to do at the event, I think we're both still a bit. whether we're just going to enjoy it as we call it our summer Christmas do, or whether we actually record some bits and pieces while we're there. I don't think we're quite there yet, and what our decisions are around that.
No, obviously we're going to be knee deep in recording quite heavily over the next few weeks
Hmm.
anyway. So a few nights a week. Um, I'd like to try and squeeze something new in, go
Hmm.
somewhere new. As great as Sizzlefest is, but it would be nice to try, go to a new scene.
Yeah, it's more that
Uh,
we've already got that in the diary, right? Locked
yeah,
in, confirmed. We were talking about Smoke and Fire and Malden, weren't we? Potentially.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think we should do something up north because I think that we haven't made that journey yet for various different reasons, but a lot of those problems are out the way now, so I think that would be good to do.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Just let's hope we get some decent weather for these upcoming festivals. But
And
yeah,
actually, I
plenty.
want to put it on here because we've talked about it, but we've never bothered doing it. I would like us to get out more to proper barbecue restaurants and do some pieces around that. Get up to London and go to a few of the places there, find other places locally, and get out to some of those proper barbecue restaurants in the UK and enjoy them and talk about them and maybe do some podcasts around those as well.
Yep, definitely.
So watch that not happen.
Yeah, something that we've only been planning for 3 years.
Yeah, exactly that.
Um,
Exactly that. And I feel like we're coming to the end of this episode. So you started off with a non-barbecue fail. So I thought it would be only fair that I give something back in return. So moved in here, started clearing out the garden. There's a
and
few
that's all we've
raised
got time for on
beds.
the meet and greet barbecue. Sorry.
Ha, funny. So yeah, clearing out the raised beds, and there's this huge, really tall gone to seed thing that's like as tall as I am. Start cutting it down. I was like, "Oh, it stinks!
No
Absolutely
idea what you're talking about.
stinks." Smells of celery, right? I was like, "Steph, have a smell of this." Anyway, cut it down. I've just got a t-shirt on, not thinking anything about it. Pack it up, get covered in like all the juices from this plant. Think nothing of it. Do another 3 or 4 hours worth of gardening. Then speak to a neighbour who helps me fill in our pond. So move maybe 18, 20 wheelbarrows of soil as well to fill in the pond that was here before to make sure Oliver doesn't stumble into it, being like 20 months old. I think nothing of it, shower, whatever. And then 2 days later, my arms start itching. What the hell's going on? Go to bed, wake up the next day, I've got blisters all over both arms. Turns out that celery has a chemical in it. If it goes on your skin and you let direct sunlight go on it for any length of time, burns your skin and gives you a chemical burn. So I now have burns. I don't know if you can see properly, all up my arms. I had blisters coming through, and apparently it can stay on your arms for up to 6 weeks.
Wow.
So I'm the only person I know who's ever got a chemical burn from celery. Only
Oh,
me.
that is,
Only
yeah,
me.
yeah, that's pretty bad.
So hey ho,
I did,
that's gone.
I did
That's all
do
we've got time
actual, but
for on this episode.
yeah, I did actually do a silly barbecue fail in that I just burnt myself, and it was so stupid. I had pizza party, whatever you want to call it. So making a few, but my father-in-law bought his on you round, so I lit two at once. I had both going at once to try and speed up the cooking of the pizza. Problem is, he didn't bring his peel, so we only had one peel. So I was trying to literally flick between two, and obviously, well documented. As much as I love the Oni, it just burns through fuel too quickly because you can only fit in the little kindling, blah blah blah. So I was constantly flicking between the two, and basically, I I don't know why I did it. I can't even remember now if I meant to do it, but I essentially put my finger on the firebox, and it burnt so much that the skin started to actually split.
Oh,
So it's almost like you could see a few layers of skin underneath, if that makes sense. So, and
keep
then of
going. I'm
course,
nearly there. I'm nearly there. Keep going. What does it smell like?
I've never had a But normally it goes red, and you get a whittle white, a whittle white bit.
A little white bit, a wee wee words.
Wee hurts. But this time, yeah, it actually kind of split the skin, almost like a cut, but with no blood. Weird.
Was cauterized the wound straight away.
Yeah, true. Pizzas were lovely though.
Yeah.
Only burnt one of them. No, I didn't. It's fine. And on that note, we should probably finish. You can tell we haven't done this for a while.
But thank you for listening, and I hope that you enjoy the upcoming episodes. Really happy with the guests that we've got planned in, and hopefully for the next 15 weeks or more, you'll be enjoying yourselves. But yeah, thanks for listening.
And until next time,
Keep on grilling. Today's episode of the Meet and Greet Barbecue podcast is brought to you by AOS Outdoor Kitchens. They are the South's leading outdoor kitchen design and installation specialists.